Hello, welcome to this update. So let's see here the tropics. So we have Hurricane Beryl there. It's just passing by the Cayman Islands there. It has affected the area for many hours now, and the tropical storm force wind field goes all the way to Little Cayman, and the hurricane force wind field is passing just south of Grand Cayman there. So I hope everyone is okay there, and continue to be careful. The effects will last a few hours more until this leaves completely. So let's see what we have. So it has a hurricane making landfall in the Yucatan of Mexico there, and passing just north of Belize there. So there are hurricane warnings for the Yucatan there of Mexico, some hurricane watches too in the northernmost part, some tropical storm warnings already for the northern and western portions of the Yucatan, and some tropical storm watches for northern Belize, and even some hurricane watches there, tropical storm warnings in extreme northern Belize and southern Yucatan. Yeah, so this forecasted to remain a tropical storm in the Gulf and maybe reach hurricane status before making landfall in Mexico there, and then going up, affecting Texas too, with some wind and rain. So let's see the wind speed, the current wind speed probabilities. So this is the tropical storm force wind speed probabilities. So it's more than 100% in the Cayman Islands because it's still there, and it's going there. There's already an 80% there in parts of the Yucatan. So and this will only get higher as it gets closer. So let's see in those islands a 90%, and let's see here. In the Gulf, there I have some probabilities like about 60 or 70% in the Gulf there. In Texas and Mexico there is already at 30% Mexico, and in Texas some slight probabilities like 20%. So that was the tropical storm. Now the hurricane force wind probabilities. It says 120 hours there. So there are some slight probabilities for the Yucatan there, but not much yet. But this will make landfall as a hurricane, so there will be hurricane force winds in some locations there. So let's see. Yeah, and the 50 knot wind speed probabilities a little bit higher there and going into the Gulf already. So let's see. The rainfall potential here, 7+ inches locally in those areas. No, sorry, 10+ inches locally in Cozumel too, and some other areas of the Yucatan, 10+ inches, and that is like 150 200 millimeters possible. So more there. In that yellow is around 4 to 6 inches of rain, so be aware in the Gulf there. So let's see the key messages: strong winds, dangerous storm surge, and damaging waves, and areas of flooding expected to occur in the Cayman Islands today, and hurricane force winds, dangerous storm surge, and heavy rainfall is expected over portion of the Yucatan Peninsula and Belize beginning tonight as Beryl approaches the area as a hurricane. So be aware. The uncertainty of Beryl, yes, I'll tell you about that soon. So let's see in Spanish. Se esperan vientos con fuerza de huracán, marejada ciclónica peligrosa y lluvias fuertes sobre porciones del península de Yucatán, de México y partes de Belize esta noche, a medida que Beryl se acerca a esta área como un huracán. Y vale, sí. Precauciones. So let's see here some other things. So first some information. So there's the hurricane. It's like Cat 2 or Cat 3 now it has weakened a lot. So the tracks take it through the Yucatan and generally in that area of northeastern Mexico and southern Texas. So most of the models are concentrating in northeastern Mexico, but it's starting to show more in extreme southern Texas. So that's the general area, extreme southern Texas and northeastern Mexico especially. So here are the intensity guidance like Cat 3 now, then going into Cat 2 as it makes landfall in the Yucatan, and the tropical storm as it goes through the Gulf, and potentially a hurricane as it makes landfall, like they have it there in the track. So, in tropical storm and stuff. So let's see. Forecast here. So you can see there it hitting the Yucatan. This is the GFS, and then it goes to the Gulf and goes to extreme northeastern Mexico and southern Texas there, and then goes further north into Texas and brings some more rain. Then it has this disturbance layer, not a cyclone but a disturbance with heavy rain there later. So be aware. And then the Euro here, it has it there making landfall in the Yucatan, and then weakening a little bit and strengthening and weakening in both, and going to Mexico there. Let's see the 0Z. So it goes into Mexico and curves a little bit and affects Texas too. So let's see. So this will like a tropical storm, and then it strengthens a little bit and then weakens again, and then strengthens again, because you'll be dealing with a lot of wind shear there. It shows up to 50 knots of wind shear in some areas. And let's see further as it gets closer to land there. It shows a little bit less, like 26 knots of wind shear there. And as it leaves the Yucatan into the Gulf of Mexico, it shows like some 28 knots of wind shear. So there will be a lot of shear affecting this system there. So it will fluctuate a little bit. So, and the icon is the only model that's showing this thing curving north and going straight into Texas there. So the icon is a little bit radical with this, but probably it will go into northeastern Mexico and southern Texas. But the icon's kind of doing some crazy stuff, but you never know. It's also a possibility. So let me see something here. Wait. So we will have that trough in the US there, and Hurricane Beryl there, but the main part of the trough will extend like to Oklahoma, and if it was closer, it could pull this hurricane north and take him more to Texas there. But it won't have much time because the trough will be there, and when it approaches, the hurricane will already be very close to land. We're running out of time, so maybe the trough will grab it later as the remnants go through Texas and Mexico there. So let's see here. Some rainfall maybe, and some wind. First waves here. So we have some gigantic waves now in the Cayman Islands affecting there because of the hurricane, and then these very big waves because of the wind and hurricane and storm surge will affect the Yucatan there, like 7-meter waves, or in some spots it could be higher. Let's see, around 5 meters, 5-6 meters there. So be aware, it could be higher too. And let's see here something. here. So I wanted to show this track from Windy. So they have it as a Cat 1 making landfall there. And let's see. So he might affect Tulum a lot there. So be careful if you are there. Some other areas in the cone here, like Punta Allen, and some other areas should be careful. And they have tropical storm watches all the way south to Belize. So be careful in other places here. In Cozumel too, be careful. And let's see here. So good. And then we have the slightly bigger waves there in the central northern Caribbean because of Invest 96L, which is bringing some more storm activity and some higher waves, but then they might dissipate later. So now it's like this, and then we will continue some big waves, but not much. So let's see. So some wind gusts here. So the hurricane there, very strong, dangerous winds coming there to the Yucatan. And let's see, maybe some gusty winds in some areas there because of the other disturbance might affect Jamaica and the Caymans with some gustier winds too. And then by later this week shows in the southern Caribbean some gustier winds, and then by the western Caribbean by next Tuesday. So be aware later, maybe some small craft advisories and stuff. So let's see the rainfall next 3 days for the Eastern Caribbean. So most of the rain fell yesterday with Invest 96L. So let's see, the next 3 days has some rain in the Northeastern Caribbean, a little bit in Puerto Rico, some in the south here, but not much, only a shower or two there in the Southeastern Caribbean. A little bit more further north here, the Dominican Republic might have some more rain and storms. And even in the next few days it shows more for Jamaica, but this is mainly from Beryl still around there, because in the next 12 hours there already shows some, but there might be more in the next 5 days because of the other disturbance. Some in Cuba in the next 3 days there, and then in the next 5 days a teeny bit more for parts of Hispaniola and more in Cuba there. So 3 days, 5 days, some more in Cuba, in the Bahamas next 3 days. The next 5 days might have more in the northern Bahamas. So let's see, in the next 3 days, some in Belize, but especially in the Yucatan, that corridor of heavy rain there, more than 170 millimeters, the Euro is showing. So as you go into the Gulf of Mexico there, more for other areas of the Yucatan, so be careful. Then it shows more for Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, and parts of Panama, but especially Costa Rica there shows more rain. So be aware. Mexico too, parts of western Mexico, some more rains too. And let's see, next 5 days, a little bit more in some areas of Mexico, but especially as this makes landfall there, it has more than 192 millimeters and even 200 in some areas, so be careful in those areas of northeastern Mexico when this makes landfall. So in the next 5 days it has a little bit more for the southeastern Caribbean, but next 3 days, next 5 days, yeah, it has a little bit more there. Let's see, a little bit more in the northeastern Caribbean too, and especially in those areas there of the Virgin Islands and eastern Puerto Rico, around 40 millimeters and some more. Dominican Republic, maybe a little bit, Jamaica. Let's see, next 5 days, Costa Rica a little bit more, Nicaragua and Honduras especially in those areas. And let's see, in the next 10 days, as the remnants of the hurricane continue through Mexico and Texas, the Euro has a lot of rain there and going north into Texas, and it has a big hot spot there, as almost 500 millimeters there in the next 10 days. So be aware. So let's see, the GFS. The GFS has a little bit further north, the peak of the rain, around extreme northeastern Mexico and Corpus Christi there in southern Texas. So this the next 5 days. The next 10 days it has most around Texas there. So more heavy rains in Mexico. Yeah, in next 10 days is kind of far out to talk about the rest of the Caribbean. But be aware, Costa Rica, the GFS has a lot in the next 5 days. Guatemala and El Salvador and all those areas. So be careful. And all those areas in pink are more than 100 millimeters. So be careful. Let's see here some other stuff. So the 7-day outlook here, he has invested in the 96L all the way to the southwestern Gulf. So they say a fast-moving tropical wave located over the eastern Caribbean Sea is producing some disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity. Development, if any, of the system should be slow to occur while it moves quickly westward to northwestward around 20 to 25 miles per hour across the Caribbean Sea through this weekend. The system is forecast to cross the Yucatan Peninsula. There could be more heavy rains there, and enter the southwestern Gulf of Mexico by early next week, and some development could occur. Gusty winds and locally heavy rainfall is possible across portions of the Greater Antilles over the next few days. 10 and 20% chance of development. So the Greater Antilles are these bigger islands here, like Hispaniola, Cuba, and could affect some other areas. So in the Eastern Pacific, we have some interesting stuff. So I think this is a tropical depression already, because I received an update here. It says it's already a tropical depression, but the last update to the National Hurricane Center, they had at 80% of development there. So let's see here if I can find a better map here to show if this is already. So there's the system there in the Eastern Pacific. It has a tropical depression already, but it will last like only less than 3 days and already become a remnant again. So this won't affect anyone, but it's already tropical depression 1 there in the Pacific. So just to let you know, and here invest 96L, yeah, and nothing else popping in the rest of the world. So let's see here what else we have. West Central Pacific, nothing, and they should update this soon because it's already a tropical depression. So let's see. So let me just show you another model here, R2. So let's see, the Eastern Pacific. So this is the GFS. So he barely has the system there, just a small circulation and barely nothing there. But later shows kind of something trying to form again by July 12th there, but dissipating very fast. And then it shows maybe another low pressure by July 16th, but nothing big. It only shows more heavy rains for Central America there later by July 18th and 19th. So let's see here. The euro, yeah, and let's see. This is the system in the Pacific. In all models, these have below tropical storm strength, so only a very short-lived tropical depression there. So let me see. This is it. So stay safe from this hurricane there in the Yucatan. Warn others, protect yourself, and then we'll make more updates in the next few days about Texas and Mexico. Bye.